I heard my daughter's voice through the bedroom door. Mom's heart is getting worse. The doctor said it could happen any time now. Her tone was calm, too calm, like she was discussing the weather, not her mother's death. I didn't move. I kept my eyes closed and my breathing steady, just as I had every night for the past 2 weeks, because 2 weeks ago, I discovered something that changed everything I thought I knew about my daughter. My name is Margaret, but everyone calls me Maggie. I'm 68 years old, and I spent 43 years as an ICU nurse at Harborview Medical Center in Seattle. I've seen every kind of cardiac emergency imaginable. I've held dying patients' hands and fought to save lives when everyone else had given up hope. My expertise was cardiology. I knew hearts, how they worked, how they failed, and most importantly, how to recognize when something was wrong. 3 months ago, my husband Robert died from a massive stroke. We'd been married for 46 years. He was my everything. The grief was crushing, but I tried to be strong for our daughter Jennifer and our 12-year-old granddaughter Emma. Jennifer had always been Daddy's little girl, and I knew she was suffering too. Or so I thought. Jennifer insisted I shouldn't be alone in our big house in Madison Park. Mom, this place is worth $6.5 million. You need someone here with you. What if something happens? She'd said, her eyes full of what I believed was genuine concern. Her husband Todd nodded along, his hand on her shoulder in that supportive way that seemed so loving at the time. I was grateful. After Robert died, the house felt empty and cold. Having Jennifer, Todd, and Emma move in seemed like a blessing. Family taking care of family, that's what Robert would have wanted. For the first month, everything seemed normal. Jennifer cooked my favorite meals. Todd helped with repairs around the house. Emma would sit with me in the evenings, telling me about school and her friends. I felt like maybe I could survive this grief after all. Then my heart medication ran out. I'd been taking metoprolol for 15 years to manage my blood pressure and prevent arrhythmia. It was routine. I called my pharmacy for a refill, and Jennifer picked it up for me. She brought the bottle to my room with a glass of water, watching as I took the first pill. "You're taking such good care of me," I told her, squeezing her hand. She smiled, but something in her eyes was different. Harder. "Of course, Mom. That's what family does." 3 days later, I woke up at 2 a.m. with my heart racing. Palpitations. My chest felt tight, and I couldn't catch my breath. These were classic signs of cardiac arrhythmia, but that didn't make sense. My medication should have been preventing this. I took my pulse. 130 beats per minute. Way too high for someone on beta blockers. As an ICU nurse, I'd learned never to ignore my instincts. Something was wrong. I waited until morning, then told Jennifer I needed to see Dr. Chen for a checkup. She seemed nervous but agreed to drive me. Dr. Chen ran an EKG. "Margaret, your heart rhythm is concerning. Are you taking your metoprolol as prescribed?" "Every morning," I assured him. He frowned at the results. "Your heart rate and blood pressure suggest you're not on any beta blockers at all. Could you have missed some doses?" I knew I hadn't. I'd been a nurse too long to be careless with medication. But I didn't say anything to Dr. Chen. Not yet, because a terrible thought was forming in my mind, one so awful I didn't want to believe it. That afternoon, while Jennifer was out picking up Emma from school, I went to my bathroom and examined the pill bottle. The label said metoprolol, 50 milligrams. But when I looked closely at the pills themselves, something seemed off. The shape was right, but the imprint on the pills was different from what I remembered. My hands shook as I opened my laptop and searched for images of metoprolol pills. The imprint on my pills didn't match. These weren't beta blockers at all. I felt sick. But I needed to be sure. I took one of the pills to my friend Susan, who still worked at the hospital pharmacy. "Can you tell me what this is?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She examined it under her magnifying glass. "Margaret, this is a multivitamin, a generic store brand. Where did you get this?" My world tilted. Someone had replaced my heart medication with vitamins. Someone wanted me to have a cardiac event. Someone wanted me to die. And there was only one person with access to my medication. I drove home in a daze. My mind kept rejecting the possibility, but the evidence was right there. Jennifer had picked up my prescription. Jennifer had been giving me these pills. Jennifer had been watching me take them every single morning, smiling that concerned smile, all while knowing they weren't real medication. But why? Why would my daughter want me dead? I sat in my car in the driveway for 20 minutes, trying to make sense of it. Then I remembered something Robert had told me a year before he died. We'd been updating our will, and he'd mentioned that Jennifer had asked him about inheritance. She wanted to know how much the house was worth, he'd said. I told her it was none of her business right now. We're not dead yet. The house. Our beautiful home in Madison Park, sitting on 1/3 of an acre with views of Lake Washington. Robert and I had bought it 40 years ago for $200,000. Now it was worth $6.5 million, and according to our will, it would go entirely to Jennifer. My daughter was trying to kill me for the house. I couldn't go to the police. Not yet. I had no proof that Jennifer knew she'd given me the wrong medication. She could claim it was a pharmacy error. I needed evidence. Real, undeniable evidence. That night, I went online and ordered a nanny cam disguised as a picture frame. It would arrive in 2 days. Until then, I had to pretend everything was normal. I had to keep taking the fake pills Jennifer gave me, keep acting like I didn't know what she was doing. I had to make her think she was winning. The next morning, Jennifer brought me my medication as usual. I took the pill with water, making sure she saw me swallow it. My stomach churned with disgust, but I smiled at her. "Thank you, honey. What would I do without you? I'll always take care of you, Mom," she said. But her smile didn't reach her eyes. That afternoon, I heard Jennifer and Todd talking in the kitchen. I moved quietly to the hallway where I could listen without being seen. How much longer? Todd's voice was impatient. "The pharmacist said it could take 4 to 6 weeks without her real medication," Jennifer replied. "She's already having episodes. Her heart is weak. It won't be long." 6 weeks? Todd sounded frustrated. "We need to close on that condo by the end of next month. We already put down the deposit." "I know, but we can't rush this. It has to look natural. A woman her age with heart problems? No one will question it." I pressed my hand against the wall to steady myself. They'd already put a deposit on a condo. They were spending my inheritance before I was even dead, and they were doing it with such casual cruelty, as if my life meant nothing. "What about Emma?" Todd asked. "She's asking why Grandma seems so tired all the time." "Emma doesn't need to know anything," Jennifer snapped. "She'll understand when she's older. This house is our future. It's Emma's future." Mom's had her time. I backed away slowly, fighting the urge to storm into that kitchen and confront them both. But I couldn't. Not yet. I needed that camera. 2 days later, the package arrived. I waited until Jennifer and Todd took Emma to soccer practice. Then I set up the camera in my bedroom. I disguised it as a photo of Robert and me from our wedding day, placing it on my dresser where it had a clear view of my nightstand and the chair beside my bed. That night, I lay in bed with my eyes closed, listening. Around 11 o'clock, I heard my bedroom door creak open. Footsteps approached my bed. I kept my breathing deep and even, pretending to be asleep. I heard the sound of my pill bottle being opened on the nightstand. Then Jennifer's voice, barely a whisper. "Just a few more weeks, Mom. I'm sorry it has to be this way, but Todd and I deserve this house. You've had your life." My heart broke all over again. My own daughter, my only child. The next morning, I watched the camera footage on my laptop. There was Jennifer, clear as day, standing over me while I slept, opening my pill bottle, checking to make sure the fake pills were still there. The audio had captured every word she'd said. I had my evidence, but I wasn't ready to act yet, because I'd spent 43 years as an ICU nurse, and I'd learned something important. When you're dealing with a threat to your life, You don't just survive. You make sure it never happens again. I made an appointment with my lawyer, Mr. Harrison, for the following day. I told Jennifer I was going to the grocery store. Instead, I drove to his office downtown and showed him everything: the fake pills, the camera footage, the pharmacy records showing my real medication had been picked up and signed for by Jennifer. Mr. Harrison's face went pale. "Margaret, you need to go to the police right now." "I will," I promised. "But first, I need you to help me change my will." We spent the next hour drafting a new will. The house would no longer go to Jennifer. Instead, it would be donated to the Washington Heart Foundation, an organization that provided cardiac care to low-income families. I also set up a trust fund for Emma's education. She was innocent in all this, and I wouldn't punish her for her parents' greed. Jennifer would get nothing. Not a single penny. "This will devastate her," Mr. Harrison warned. "Not as much as being arrested for attempted murder," I replied. The new will was signed and notarized that afternoon. Then I went to the Seattle Police Department and filed a report. I gave them everything: the fake pills, the camera footage, the pharmacy records, Jennifer's confession on video. Detective Morrison listened to my story with growing horror. "Mrs. Patterson, you're very lucky. Another week or two without your medication and you could have had a fatal cardiac event." "I know," I said. "I'm a cardiac nurse. I know exactly what my daughter was trying to do to me." "We'll need to send the pills for analysis," he said, "and we'll need your daughter to come in for questioning." "She thinks I'm at the grocery store," I told him. "She has no idea I know." Detective Morrison made some calls. 2 hours later, I returned home with a police escort. Jennifer was in the kitchen, starting dinner. She looked surprised to see the officers with me. "Mom? What's going on? Are you okay?" "No, Jennifer, I'm not okay." My voice was steady now, cold with fury. "I know what you've been doing. I know you replaced my heart medication with vitamins. I know you've been trying to kill me so you can inherit the house." Her face went white. "What? Mom, no. That's crazy. I would never." "I have video footage of you standing over my bed, admitting everything. I have the fake pills. I have pharmacy records. The police have everything." Todd appeared in the doorway, his face draining of color. "Jennifer, what is she talking about?" But Jennifer wasn't looking at him. She was staring at me with an expression I'd never seen before, pure hatred mixed with panic. "You can't prove anything," she said, but her voice wavered. Detective Morrison stepped forward. "Jennifer Patterson, you're under arrest for attempted murder." As the officer read her rights and placed handcuffs on her wrists, Jennifer started to cry. "Mom, please, we needed that money." "Todd lost his job, and we're drowning in debt. I didn't want to hurt you, but we were desperate." "You were desperate?" I felt my voice rise. "I'm your mother. I would have helped you if you'd just asked. But instead, you decided it would be easier to kill me?" "We couldn't ask," she sobbed. "You would have said no. You would have judged us for our financial mistakes. So you decided to murder me instead?" The words felt surreal coming out of my mouth. This was my daughter, the baby girl I'd rocked to sleep, the toddler who'd called me mommy, the teenager I'd supported through every heartbreak. And she'd been willing to end my life for money. Emma came running down the stairs, her eyes wide with confusion. "Grandma, why are the police taking Mom?" I knelt down and pulled her into my arms. "Everything's going to be okay, sweetheart. I promise." But as the police led Jennifer away, Todd following in a separate car, I knew nothing would ever be okay again. My family was shattered. The trust was broken, and I had to figure out how to pick up the pieces. The next few weeks were a blur of statements, evidence analysis, and court appearances. The pills were confirmed to be generic multivitamins. The pharmacy confirmed Jennifer had picked up my real prescription and signed for it. The security footage showed her purchasing the vitamins at the same store, same day. My attorney also discovered that Jennifer and Todd had been living beyond their means for years. They'd refinanced their home twice, maxed out 7 credit cards, and were 3 months behind on car payments. They'd put a $50,000 deposit on a luxury condo in Bellevue, banking on their inheritance to cover the full purchase price. They'd been planning this for months, maybe longer. Jennifer eventually pleaded guilty to attempted murder and insurance fraud. She'd also taken out a life insurance policy on me, without my knowledge. She was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Todd, who claimed he didn't know about the medication switch until it was too late, received 5 years as an accessory after the fact. I attended Emma's custody hearing and testified on her behalf. She went to live with Todd's sister in Portland, a kind woman I'd always liked. I set up the trust fund for Emma's education and made sure she knew I loved her, that none of this was her fault. But I couldn't see her often. Every time I looked at Emma, I saw Jennifer's eyes, and the pain was too much. I sold the house. I couldn't stay there anymore, not after everything that happened in those rooms. The sale went through quickly, a young tech couple with 3 kids who filled the place with noise and laughter again. That's what the house needed. The proceeds, all $6.7 million after closing costs, went directly to the Washington Heart Foundation, just as I'd specified in my new will. The foundation used it to open a free cardiac clinic in South Seattle, serving the community where I'd worked for 4 decades. They named it the Robert Patterson Memorial Clinic, after my husband. I moved into a small apartment in Fremont, near the canal. It's cozy, just big enough for me and my cat, Luna. I started volunteering at the free clinic twice a week, teaching CPR classes and doing health screenings. It gives me purpose. Sometimes I lie awake at night and think about those 2 weeks when I knew Jennifer was trying to kill me. I think about how I had to pretend everything was fine, how I had to smile and thank her each morning when she handed me those fake pills. I think about the moment I realized my own daughter valued money more than my life. Mostly, though, I think about the camera footage. The part that still haunts me is when Jennifer whispered, "I'm sorry it has to be this way," because she wasn't really sorry. She was just sorry it was taking so long. People ask me how I'm doing now. They ask if I'm angry, if I hate Jennifer, if I'll ever forgive her. The truth is, I don't know. The woman who tried to kill me isn't the daughter I raised. Or maybe she is, and I just never wanted to see it. What I do know is this: I survived. I used the knowledge from my 43 years as a nurse to recognize the symptoms, to understand what was happening to my body. I used my experience to gather evidence carefully and methodically. I didn't panic. I didn't confront her prematurely. I did what needed to be done, and I made sure my story would save other lives. That clinic in South Seattle has already treated over 2,000 patients who couldn't afford cardiac care. 2,000 people who might have died without access to the medications and treatment they needed. In a way, Jennifer's betrayal created something good, something Robert would have been proud of. Last week, I received a letter from Jennifer in prison. I haven't opened it yet. It's sitting on my kitchen counter, and I look at it every morning when I make my coffee. Maybe someday I'll have the strength to read whatever she has to say. Maybe someday I'll be able to forgive her, but not today. Today, I'm going to the clinic. There's a new group of CPR students, and I'm going to teach them how to save lives. Because that's what I do. That's who I am. I'm Margaret Patterson. I'm 68 years old. I'm a cardiac nurse. I'm a survivor. And I'm still here. My daughter tried to kill me for a house worth $6.5 million. She replaced my heart medication with vitamins and watched me take them every morning, waiting for my heart to give out. She stood over my bed while I pretended to sleep and admitted everything. She thought I was weak, that I was just a lonely old widow who wouldn't notice what was happening to her own body. She was wrong, because I spent my entire career in the ICU, fighting for patients who couldn't fight for themselves. I learned to recognize every symptom, every warning sign, every subtle change that meant the difference between life and death. And when my own daughter tried to make me another statistic, another elderly woman who died quietly of natural causes, I fought back. I documented everything. I gathered evidence. I built a case so strong that even Jennifer's expensive lawyers advised her to plead guilty. I made sure she would face justice, not just for what she did to me, but for what she might have done to others if she'd succeeded. And I made sure the money she wanted so badly would help people instead of feeding her greed. The irony isn't lost on me. Jennifer wanted $6.5 million. She was willing to kill her own mother for it. And in the end, that money is saving lives the exact opposite of what she intended. Sometimes at the clinic, I see daughters bringing in their elderly mothers for checkups. They hold their mothers' hands, help them fill out forms, translate medical jargon into simple terms. They show the kind of love and care I thought I had with Jennifer. And I have to look away because the grief is still too raw. But then I remember, I survived. I outsmarted her. I turned her betrayal into something meaningful. And somewhere in that truth, I find peace. I take my real metoprolol every morning now. I check each pill carefully, even though I know the pharmacy is trustworthy. I monitor my heart rate and blood pressure religiously. I'm not taking any chances, because I know now what I should have known all along. You can't trust anyone completely, not even family, especially not family. But I also know something else. I'm stronger than I thought. At 68 years old, with a broken heart both literally and figuratively, I found the courage to save my own life. And that's something no one can take away from me, not even my daughter.